Welcome to our Tuesday coffee chat with Christina and Lindsay. Change of date this week only because, well, if you didn't know, Christina was just here in Mexico with me, and she just arrived back home late last night. So move it over just a little bit. So yeah, we wanted to come on and talk a little bit about our coffee chat. We just changed the date because we knew we wanted to still do it this week. So, Christina, what are we talking about today? I'm so pumped with this. Exciting stuff.
We wanted, I'm freezing, you're freezing, everybody's freezing. We wanted to do our coffee chat today because it's a priority for us. Hey, yes. look at that segue.
I like it.
All right, so we did want to chat today a little bit about priorities. That one of the things that Lindsay and I discussed a lot about when I was in Mexico, when we were going through like our year in review of 2019 in terms of business and our personal life, because let's be honest, business is personal for us. That we run our businesses from our hearts, and so a lot of business stuff does get brought into our personal life. And so a big priority for us, there was a couple in 2019 that we feel like we really got really clear on life-work balance, and it's still, let me be honest, it's not perfect. It's still a work in progress, and we still had some work to do there, but we did feel like we did a little bit better in 2019 than in previous years. And also another thing that we feel like, we really prioritized in 2019 was working with and doing things that we love. So working with people that we love and doing things that we love, and doing more of the things that we love and less of the things that we don't love. We run a business, so there's always going to be pieces that we don't love. Lindsay and I don't love like doing the books and, doing all that kind of stuff because it's not fun. That we prefer a lot of the fun stuff, but we have to do some of the unfun sometimes. So yeah, those were some of our priorities. And then moving into 2020, we talked about how we want to read more books. How we want to, last year we did a lot of work. I did a lot of certifications. As if you guys didn't know, I didn't do anything with fitness really. I mean, I worked out a little bit before, but I'd never had any sort of fitness certification. So I did my personal training certification, my group fitness certification, my drumming certification, and I feel like I did one other. So I did a bunch of those last year, but this year we're doing a lot more like self-development kind of stuff, personal development. So Lindsay and I have committed to starting to read books together, and we're doing some business coaching stuff as well. So those are kind of our 2020 priorities.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about priorities, it's not an easy thing, right, Lindsay?
No, and it really is. It's even the reason that we even started having the conversation about our priorities was because, of course, we wanted to start looking at our goals for 2020. And so when you're focusing on your goals, you really have to decide what is priority because you have only so much time, energy, money, mental capacity, all of those things to put towards your priorities. So when we both sat down and kind of said, okay, what went really well? Okay, now what are some of the things we want to focus on? And, and actually both Christy and I had the same exact kind of like, now what scenario? Because here's the thing. When you are kind of unhappy with the way you look and you're kind of unhappy with the way things are going, there is a pretty clear picture on how you want to get to your goal. Well, Christina, for example, is now in a place where, she's actually out of a horrible marriage and into an amazing relationship. She is feeling pretty good about where she is. She's been maintaining, 4 years almost out, which is crazy. And it was one of those things where it was like, well, I'm kind of struggling on now what? And I feel the same way with my own kind of life goals. I know I've posted a video about, now that we live in Mexico, which has been a dream of mine for 8 years, now what? And so we really kind of sat down and said, okay, we have to figure out what our goals are. Once we know what our goals are, we have to figure out where they lie in the priority because guys, guess what? You can't do everything at once. And no matter what, like Christina and I really want to write a book. Okay, this is coming. It's something that is going to happen, but we can't do that. Plus do some of the really exciting things that we planned over the last week, as well as because priorities have to be put on the top and then built down from there. And sometimes that's really hard, right? And we played back and forth on which should be a priority in our business and which should be a priority in our personal life. And as Christina said, we kind of mesh those two, but we really have to try to figure that out.
Well, you have to figure out the things, again, priorities, the things that are the most important to you. So if losing weight is the most important to you, just in terms of your weight loss journey. If hitting your goal weight or, getting to a certain size or a certain number on the scale or whatever it is for you, if that is the most important, when you sit down and think about all your priorities in life, if that is the most important thing, then some other things are going to have to slip back, whether it's some other things in terms of your budget, whether it's some other things in terms of your personal life, whatever it is, some other things in terms of ways that you want to spend your time. If hitting that goal is the most important thing for you, then you have to find the ways to make it happen. So there is, as Lindsay said, there's only so much time, money, energy, effort, all of those things that you need to be able to find in your world. So when Lindsay and I sat down and made our list of priorities, I mean, it was a little more difficult because it was two of us coming together, but it's not really just two of us. It's also two of us with families behind us. So, Lindsay puts forth a priority in her world, and then I put forth a priority in my world, and then somehow we need to bring them together in the business. Thankfully, we work really, really well together. And it actually is a lot simpler than it would be for a lot of people. But when you're doing your personal priorities, if you do this with your family, it's really helpful. So that A, you get their buy-in to your priorities, and B, you know what their priorities are too. And then you can, again, if your goal is that you want to, lose this weight, which then that means that you have to do this in terms of what you're bringing in the house for groceries. Maybe you do need a support system or a program. You need to have some fitness fit in there somewhere, whatever it is. But if all of those things are things that you need to happen, well, if you don't share that with your partner, it's going to be really hard to have that as a priority because A, they're not going to buy into it. B, maybe the money isn't there. Maybe they're spending money other places, all those kind of things. But if that's your priority, then some other things are going to change. Maybe wine nights are going to have to, take a back seat until you hit that goal. Or, maybe going on that girls' weekend vacation that you do every year that it's just eating junk food like madness and all of those things. That there's some things that might have to sit back if you put that fitness and nutrition priority first. If maintaining a social life is really important to you, then we need to find ways to be able to do that in your journey. So finding those priorities, but sitting down, pen to paper is always, I think in every single coffee chat is something that I talk about, which is funny because I'm not a paper person. But I feel like when it comes to goals and priorities and all of those things, writing them down is so, so important.
Oh, and guys, so again, we don't talk too much about our business planning sessions, but we do them twice a year. And the rule of thumb is that in the first kind of day, it is all pen and paper. We don't bring our computers out at all. And these are people who we live on our computers, guys, just live on our phones. We had to put those all away and we just start writing stuff down and brainstorming and figuring it out and then saying, well, what about this? And then I'm being like, well, that's a little crazy, or what about that? And how does that work?
I just want to show them I just happen to have it sitting right here. This is like our planning session. So you see that there's like things written down and then there's a whole bunch of things crossed out and then we write things like beside them, and that it's like we sit down with pen and paper, we make the list, but then you're going to cross something off the list and you're going to draw circles and lines and everything. It shouldn't be just a neat and tidy list because you're going to write your priorities and you're going to be like, oh, what about this? Hey, I got to move that actually up here because that is actually more of a priority to me than this is. And yeah.
One of the things that we find really, really challenging too is, and I think I posted something about it the other day, is where society puts priorities. Like going out for dinner and spending $200 that you literally poop out, right? About, where your money goes, versus spending, $100 on really great groceries to have in your house. Maybe having that moment where you will spend 3 hours scrolling through Instagram or watching Netflix, but we don't have enough time to do your workout. And so really understanding where your priorities lie is super important. And we've had clients come to us and say, listen, I really want to do your program, but, I may not have the finances, but I really want to do your program. And I'm like, okay, well, how badly do you really want to do it? On a scale of 1 to 10. If it's a 10, let's figure this out, because if it's way up there on that priority list, then let's look at things that we can get rid of, right? Like one of our programs is $20 a month. So it's like, okay, that's a Netflix in my world, right? We have a family plan. I think it's like $14.99 or something like that. Again, and if you're saying, oh my God, I can't get rid of Netflix, well, maybe that's not where the priority lies, but there's things that you can find. We have people who, have gotten rid of their Starbucks, oh my gosh, or cut down on their Starbucks to afford some of these things. I have a friend who has said to me, like, for years, she's like, oh, I want to do personal training. And she can't afford it, which again, it comes down to priority. Honestly, we know there's some people out there that truly can't afford things, and we totally understand that. But there's also people who decide that going out for dinners or going to the theater or going to, girls' trips or whatever is more important, and that's okay. But then you have to look at your priorities, and does that fit into them?
I always see that that like meme on Facebook, and it says something about like, oh, I can't afford to travel. But the person eats lunch out every day, and it says you can, this many days a week, this is how much money you're spending on like lunch or coffees or whatever. And it says like, you can totally afford to travel, you just don't like making sandwiches. And I laugh at it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have been that person in my life before. Like I've totally, made those excuses and all of those things. And this year we have some family goals, of course, that before Lindsay and I went to our planning sessions, I sat and talked with Dallas and the kids about like what our goals are as a family this year and what are some things that we want to do as a family. And then we brought those into our business. Now, obviously being self-employed does allow us a little bit more freedom than those of you that go to the, the 9 to 5 or whatever job that you're, in terms of our time, it's flexible. But in terms of our finances, it's actually kind of different, that we never know what that's going to look like. So, and it's what we put into it is what we get out of it. So that is obviously a little bit different, but yeah, I mean, I know lots of people in our community that have multiple jobs, that they have a goal, and that, or they take overtime at their work if they want to, have extra expenditures or something like that. So there's all kinds of ways to be able to do things, but sitting down and really getting clear on your priorities. And then what are you not willing to compromise? That is a big thing. When Lindsay and I talk about our business goals and what we want to do this year, we always have our firm no's. Like there's certain things that are just firm no's, that it's like, I absolutely will not do that. And you're allowed to have that in all areas of your life. Honestly, even in your job, if your day-to-day job that you go to every day is making you do something that feels wrong to you for whatever reason, it's not the job for you. And I mean, I know that the labor market right now isn't fantastic, but there's other jobs out there if it's really just something that you absolutely refuse to do in your world. So having those hard no's in your life and having those hard no's with your family and all of those things, I feel are totally acceptable. And again, just being clear about what your boundaries are is really important. So again, putting those priorities out there and telling your family that, like when I was losing weight, when I was in my weight loss phase, a hard no to me was dining out, that I absolutely would not do it. My friends do it. My family knew it. My ex-husband didn't like it, but he knew it. So it was one of those things that I had said, I'm only going to be in this weight loss phase for however long. For me, it was 10 months. I said a year is what I thought initially is how long it would take me to lose all my weight. And so for an entire 10 months, I said, I will not dine out. And I don't even know, it wasn't even like the day I hit my goal that I went and ate out somewhere. I don't remember how long after I hit goal, but it wasn't very frequently in that first little while because I was still petrified that I was going to gain all my weight back. So it was a long time. Now I'll dine out somewhat sporadically. I still wouldn't even really say it's regular, but to me, that was a hard no, that I wouldn't do that. Ice cream coming into my house is still a hard no. So I have certain things in my weight loss journey that are just hard no's for me. And I mean, they were hard no's when I was married. They're hard no's when I was single. They're hard no's now that Dallas and I are together, that it's just, this will not happen in my world.
Yeah, and I think too, you got to remember, bringing your family into it is a really big part of it. And one of the things that, as I said, Christina and I discussed while she was here is we did do very well with the work-life balance in 2019. We did way better than we did the year before, I'll tell you that much. But we also still need to do more. And, when it came down to it, it's like, okay, these are the things I know I need to do. So my girls are 11 and 9. They're getting up there with they want phones. They want, they spend time on their iPads and stuff like that. And they're constantly saying to me, well, you're always on your phone or you're always on the computer. Originally, I said this to Christina, I was like, originally I said, well, I work this business. It allows us to live down here and, blah, 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 all the reasons, right, that in my head I justified. But then we were talking about it, and the truth of the matter is the reason that we, as I say, retired Ben from his corporate job was because he worked away from home and he was losing the time with our children. And it's no different. It just was a very different feel, right? Because I was home, but I was on my phone. Well, now my 11-year-old, which, is at almost 18 in her head, says to me constantly, well, if you're always on your phone, I should be able to be always on mine. So one of the things that we said was that Christina and I have to work together as a business partnership, as well as in our community, to let people know that there are going to be days where I am literally not going to take my phone out. I'm not going to touch it. Christina has her days. We're going to work together to make this a priority to us, because I don't want my children, even though we have the freedom to work anytime, anywhere, everywhere, location freedom, I don't want to remove myself from my family life, just like Christina doesn't, to work all the time. We need to have that balance. So that was a priority, and that is something that we will work on coming into 2020. But the big thing too is just making sure you have the conversations, right? I said to Christina, I was like, I really want to work on my personal development this year. And Christina was like, oh, I used to be a big reader. I really want to read a book. I loved how we did our book club last year. And so again, we kind of brought those two together and meshed them. And yes, sometimes I feel like I have my family and her family that we have to work with, just as she does with mine. But that's, obviously part of the business and the relationship and the partnership we have. But focusing on that priority, because there are going to be things that I know when Christina was like, well, this is my priority. I'm like, that's not mine, and that's okay. But I respect that's going to be yours. And so we have to, as a partnership, but in life, with yourself, you have to look at what is priority. And I always say you're either taking one step forward to your goals or one step back from your goals. So if your goal is to hit goal or to lose weight, look at all the things that are in priority right now. Take a look, which is it's a hard, harsh reality of that, how long you use your phone on a daily basis. Like that, it's so horrible to get slapped in the face on a regular in my world, because originally I was like, okay, I'm going to be on my phone only so much. Yeah, that is slowly but surely. But that's where you have to look. Like if your goal is to really focus on you, and then you realize that you've, coming from experience, just killed 7 seasons on Netflix, maybe it's not as big of a goal as you thought. Like my goal in 2020 is all about learning Spanish better than I do now. I'm taking an immersion course right now, actually in these next 3 weeks. And I have said to Christina, I'm going to need your support from a business perspective. I have said to my husband, Ben, I am going to need your support from a home life perspective. And I am no Netflix, no TV for January and February specifically, because it's that immersion. And I have made that as my only priority, obviously not only, but priority for the next 3 weeks. And I have to make sacrifices for that. Every time a Netflix show pops up in Facebook and somebody's like, have you watched it? I'm like, no. Like that, but that's what you do when you have a priority that you feel good about. Now, if you have a priority that you don't feel good about, it's going to be really hard. So if your priority was, I'm going to work out 7 days a week from now on, and that's not something you feel good about, you're not going to do it. And so then that's just taking away from that priority anyway. So just take a good hard look and decide if that makes sense.
Finding ways to, if working out is a priority for you, and coming from somebody, I can put the working out there, because I've never been that person that's in love with workouts. Even still, I work out regularly, but I'm not in love with them. So finding ways to make yourself love them more is important. So being social is a huge priority for me. I've been a stay-at-home / work-at-home mom for the last 7.5 years. So I feel like I'm missing that little bit of social often. So making my workouts now with the online live interactive classes, making my workouts a little bit social is huge for me. Being able to see other humans on the screen, being able to banter back and forth a little bit, being able to whine and complain about it, and all of those things is important for me. If I had to just go to the gym and sit on a treadmill and stare at a wall by myself, I wouldn't do it. Trust me, I know I wouldn't, because I have a gym membership that I don't go to. So I have a gym membership for the pool, actually, to be honest. But anyways, but yeah, so I know I wouldn't do that, because I had to find a way to make my workouts a priority in my life. So prioritizing them with the social, so that I get kind of something that fills my cup, and then something that hugely empties it, but ultimately fills it at the same time. That I had to find ways to sort of trick myself into doing it. And now that I've tricked myself for long enough, it's been over a year, now I don't have to trick myself as much anymore. Now I know what the trick is. But it still works for me to be able to show up to those classes. It makes it a priority in my world, because I miss it when I don't go. I don't miss the workout. I don't miss the this and the burpees and all that. I don't miss that, but I miss seeing my people. So that's a way that I've made it a priority. You could do the same with meal prep. If, getting meal prep in is a priority for you, but you're like, oh, I just don't have time. But hey, I never see my friend Tammy very often. So what if I did, message Tammy and see if she'd like to do a meal prep together, whether it's in person Or you could do it on Zoom, or like Facebook Messenger kind of thing, like where you're doing a video chat, and like literally just get together on a Sunday evening or whatever night and do some meal prep together with your girlfriend. And that's just what you do. So you're sitting there, you're chatting, you're catching up on your week, and you're cooking at the same time. Making those things a priority for yourself. Or that's when you watch your Netflix is, from my kitchen, I can see my TV. So if I'm like, okay, I'm not a TV person at all, but if I was, it'd be like, okay, I'm allowed to watch this Netflix show while I'm doing this. So that was one of, again, I'm huge about deals with myself. I love taking a bath every day. Like, it's like one of my favorite things to do. I'm horrible about taking my phone in the bath and like just chatting on my phone and working and doing all kinds of stuff. So the deal I made with myself and with Lindsay is that my phone will stay in my bedroom plugged into the charger, and I will take my book, and that's when I'm going to read, is when I have my bath. So that I know that I do it every day. So I'll get my reading time in, which is fantastic because I love that, but I don't make it a priority. So I have to take something I love, add in the piece that I want to love more, and do them together. And for me, that seems to work.
Yeah, and having that accountability is really helpful too, right? I mean, I know people, we know a lot of people who are solo entrepreneurs, and they're like, oh, it must be so amazing to have a business partner to kind of be able to keep you accountable. And I mean, we joke a little bit about like the positive nag and like all of these things that we joke about, but it's true, right? I mean, I know, again, I'm an obliger. I know for a fact I wouldn't do half the things I did if I didn't know that Christina was expecting me to do them. But that goes to the same with everything else. I have said to Christina, just like she just said to me about her book, if I know she's in the bath and I hear from her, she's in so much trouble because her phone is supposed to be on the counter, only on ringing in case her kids call for school, right? So I know that, and it's the same with me. If I know that Saturdays are going to be my day where I'm not online, if I attempt to send her a message, she's just going to be like, nope, not talking to you, out of here. But having that accountability in every area of your life, right? And it may not be your spouse, it may not be your mother, it may not be the person you actually thought would be, but somebody.
And so taking our day off a week, we're starting with just one day completely off. So we've been having for most 2019. In the beginning of 2019, we were terrible and we were teaching classes like 7 days a week, and that wasn't good for our bodies, our minds, any of it. But then we started taking 1 to 2 days a week off of teaching classes, but we were still doing a million other business tasks. So for 2020, we're going to take 1 day completely off. I mean, most people that work a full-time regular job get 2 days off a week where they don't go to work. Well, Lindsay and I haven't been doing that. So we've decided that that's something that needs to happen. So at least 1 day. So we've told each other that we're going to do this, and we're committed to it, that we're not going to message the other person on their day off. We've also we've said that our spouses, we will get them to buy into it. Dallas will literally at first have to take my phone and put it in a drawer or up on a high shelf or something, because I'm not good at that like self-discipline when it comes to my phone. I'm a total phone junkie all the time. And then we're taking it a step further, and we're actually going to ask our community to buy into it as well. So we're going to post that, you know what, it's Saturday, it's Friday night, tomorrow is Saturday, and I am taking the day off. So if you guys can step in and, field any questions and let people know that I'm off, I'll post something in the morning. I can schedule that post, that I'm off for the day with my family, and I'll be able to get back to messages tomorrow. Nothing's going to fall apart. We are not life and death here in the bariatric world. And if you are life and death, you're not coming to Lindsay and I, you're going to the hospital to your surgeon. So it is nothing that can't wait 24 hours. And we know that, but we just never actually act on it properly. So like I said, we're taking it that step further of asking our community to buy into it. So if you don't have support at home, you do have support through our community. So whatever your goals are, if you want to make it to 5 classes a week or something like that, ask the community to buy into it. Get yourself a buddy. I know in our team challenge, it was very, very successful because they had that accountability. Our next fundamentals challenge does start in like 3-4 days. And there's massive accountability built into these challenges where, you're showing up for yourself, but you're also showing up for other people. So find yourself some accountability if you don't have it. And if you need some help finding that accountability, reach out to one of us and we're happy to do that. But start today with your priorities. I've seen the meme out there as well. I'm a meme junkie today. But the one about how January was your free trial month and 2020 actually starts February 1st. Let's take it there and let's sit down today, make yourself a list of priorities. You're welcome to share them if you'd like to, or keep them to yourself, but start working on them right away. Just making the list isn't enough. Lindsay and I have made our list now. Now we're into our action phase of what we're moving into for 2020.
Yeah, and it's really important, right? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have lists and lists upon lists upon lists upon lists upon lists of things I want to do. That I, whether you want to whether you want to call it a dream board or a vision board or any of those things, we have lots of them out there. And the beauty of having them is that I'm a big believer of dreaming big, dream big, dream big. But unfortunately, it's just not enough to dream it or want it or write it down. You actually have to take action steps. So again, going back to your own priorities, if exercise is a priority, come and join a class, right? You have to do something to actually get towards that priority. If meal prep is your priority, talk to Christina about nutritional coaching. Say, hey, I just don't even know where to start. What do I do now, right? So you have to actually take that next step. But it's like trying to get through, and I've never seen it, but everybody always talks about that Bird Netflix where she has her blindfold on and she has to again, Christina and I are the worst for TV shows because we don't watch any of them, but it's like trying to go through and have no idea how to go, where to turn, what to do. No wonder our priorities kind of get floating all over the place, because unless we have that action plan of some description, even if it's like, I want an action plan to talk to Christina, I need an action plan to talk to Lindsay, right? Priorities, Tammy, it's all about those priorities. And that's kind of where we come in. And that's really one of the things that we're really, really passionate about, is that taking those people that are kind of like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, I'm not sure what to do. If your priority is something to do with health and fitness, reach out to us. Our challenge has 5 of the most important fundamentals that we work with, right? Our classes have accountability and motivation. Our meal preps, our support calls, we have that. So if you're like, I just don't even know where to start, maybe that's the next step to start with. Find something, whether it be one of our healthy living memberships, which is a monthly membership, whether it be the classes, whether it be the challenge.
There's huge changes and exciting, not huge changes. There's small and big changes coming to healthy living. All good, all amazing, and I can't wait to tell everybody about it. And it's killing me that it's still.
I know. Christina's not very good with secrets, but guys, she's keeping a lid on it for just a little bit longer. All right. Well, listen, we are going to wrap up for today. Of course, watch for that blog post on Saturday and the email on Thursday. The next 2 weeks, though, we have some pretty exciting stuff going on, because as I said, if you don't remember, I am 100% immersed into my Spanish learning, which happens to be on Mondays the next 2 weeks. We have 2 special guests coming.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I love coffee chat with Lindsay, but the other 2 people that I get to talk to, I also really love chatting with, and I feel like they're going to bring awesomeness to coffee chat. So which one's first?
Ben is first on the 3rd.
So next week, it's myself and Ben hanging, and we're talking about fitness and movement, and all kinds of cool stuff. I can't remember exactly.
Movement creates the mood, I think is what we called it, but something pretty exciting like that.
And Ben always has lots to say, if you've never heard Ben talk. And Ben will also question me and ask me really hard questions, and probably make fun of my height several times in the 30 minutes. So it will be wonderful. And then our next one, which would be on the 10th of February, is Frankie. So Frankie and I are going to be hanging, and we're talking all things plastic surgery. Frankie is currently recovering from her plastics. She did the 360 body lift. And so we're going to be talking all things plastic recovery, the preparation that she did, how she got herself ready, the actual procedures itself and kind of how that went, and then her recovery, and how amazing she looks. So we're going to talk all things plastic surgery, things to ask your surgeon. Frankie interviewed several surgeons, and she asked lots of questions, and she really did everything she could to get herself ready in terms of her mindset, her fitness, her nutrition. Everything was on point, and that's why she's killing this recovery. So she's doing amazing. So super excited to chat with her about all things plastic surgery on the 10th.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I will miss you guys a lot, but I promise I'll be thinking in Spanish. So next time.
And then on the 17th, Lindsay will be back, and it'll be a full Spanish coffee chat. No, I'm just kidding, because I would not understand a word.
Oh, guys, have a fantastic Tuesday, whatever you're up to, and we will talk to you guys real soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.